So this is the parsha. This is the parsha of Hashavas Aveda, and notice the things. It says shar, it says seyoi. So it says a shar, it says a sheep, and then it says a chamor, and it says a simla. So all these we're going to make limudim regarding all these things. We're going to make limudim, and we're beginning the Mishnah on Chav Zayin Amid Aleph. Chav Zayin Amid Aleph. You say this to Kedat. Okay. Afa simla hoisa b'chal kolelu. Even the simla was in the category of b'chalelu. The Gemara is going to ask, what is b'chalelu? Chav Zayin Amid Aleph the Mishnah. B'lama yitzasa hasimla. B'lama yitzasa. And why is it taken out of the rule? Lahaka sheleha, to go ahead and be compared to the simla. Loim lecha masimla miyuchedes sheyes ba simonim b'yesh letoivim. A simla is miyuched. It's unique. Sheyesh ba. Oh, look at what then. Julia Child. Okay. Masimla miyuchedes sheyesh ba simonim b'yesh letoivim. A simla is unique, that it has simonim. Since a simla was man-made, usually a person recognizes what's in it. And since it's man-made, v'yesh letoivim, you'll have someone to claim it as opposed to hefker. This is one of the sources for Yush, guys. This is one of the sources for Yush. Want to know where it says Yush in the Mishnah, right? This is a source for Yush that it has, someone will be toiveya, someone will go ahead and claim it because he's not going to give up hope. He's going to claim it. Look at Rashi. Right. So if it says the cholaved sachicha, why is simla taken out of the rule? Stam simla yesh ba simin. Stam a simla, a garment has a simin. V'chol simla yesh la bailim. Taiv my son. They have bailim who go ahead and claim it. Shlei nasis eli b'dei adam. Since it's man-made, v'lei bos min a hefker. It doesn't come from hefker. So therefore, we're going to go ahead and what's an aveda? Anything similar to a simla that it has a simin and the bal is not miyayish and has taivim. It has a simla v'yesh letoivim. That's the aside of simla. Av kol davar sheish by simla v'yesh letoivim concludes the Mishnah chayiv lahakris. So simla is the paradigm of what you're going to go ahead and for an aveda. That if it's something that's lost and something that has toivim and has a simonim, that is a aveda that you return. That's the mitzvah. That's the mitzvah of hashif teshivim. That's the mitzvah leisucha lesalim. You're able to close your eyes. Okay, now the Mishnah said, "My bechal kol elu." My bechal kolelu, amarava bechal kol avedus achicha. Again, in the pasuk it said all the avedus of your brothers. That's all inclusive. So if it's all inclusive, why did you have to say simla? Why did you have to go ahead and take out? Once you say every aved, of course everything's included. So why are you taking out simla? And that's what it means. You took it out to learn out the din that a simla has simanim and v'yesh latoivim. So too, why do you chayiv to return something that has simanim and has toivim? Amarava, lamali the kasa from now. Just I point out again. In the Devarim it says Leisira Shara Chicha Oyaseyai, and then in the second pasuk V'chein Tasel Lechamayr V'chein Lesimlasleis. In other words, we have four things: we have a shar, we have a sheep, we have a chamar, and we have a simla. And we're going to learn out something from each one. Kala Amarava Lama lead the Kasav Rachman shar chamar sev simla. Why do you say there's four specific things? Once you said Kala Vedas Achicha, everything's included. So why are you taking out specifically these four things? You need to tell me each one. You need to tell me each one. Because Achman is simla, if the Torah would have just written simla, I would have thought hani mili be'edim dugufa be'simonim dugufa. A simla is a one-piece garment. So when you return it, I would say, you know what's an aveda that you can return? Anything that the simin or edim, as we'll see, the sugya, whether you need a edim, right, is in the essence of the thing itself, not an ancillary piece, but it has to be part of the garment itself. Avol chamor be'edim the oikif, to return a donkey with edim on its saddle. Again, the saddle is not the donkey itself. Simla is something that what is itself. So if you would only write simla, I would be limited to a simin or edim in the thing itself. How do I know to include, to return an aveda even when the simin is in a piece that's secondary to the main aveda? The simani the oikif ema loy mahadrin. I would say you don't return the kasar rachman chamar. Therefore, that's what I learned from chamar. You return the chamar. Afilu what chamar b'simani oikif. You have the what the simanim on the oikif. The simanim on what on the saddle. So that what do you mean? You don't. I would think that's the Behem is the main thing. Yeah, so for sure, the simon you could return a chamor. Certainly, it's even you can return it with the oikef, right? That's a bigger chiddush, Mendy, because you take it off. What do you have? It's a much bigger chiddush, Mendy, to say you'll return an animal just based upon its saddle. To return an animal with inherently it has its own simon. That's not a chiddush, right? That's a simla. Yeah, let's say you have an animal and you say, this animal has 5 spots on its hind side. Yeah. Of course you return it. That's not. Okay, yeah. But that's not a chiddush. It's a much bigger chiddush, even though you're only returning because it's wearing a certain saddle. Now the Gemara is going to ask, how do you know it's the saddle? Maybe it was a borrowed saddle. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, Shor v'seh the kosher Rahman Alami. So now I know Simla and I know Chamar. There's 2 other things. There is what? There's 2 other things. There is. Okay. Well, let's figure out who has young children in the house. Not Menach. So Shor v'seh the kosher Rahman Alami. Shor dafilu legizas znavoi. Even to return the sharings of its tail. You think a shor, you're returning for the shor for its ability to work, even if it's returned the something as minuscule as its tail here, that you'd have to return it. That's what I learned from the word shor. The seh legazizaisav, and said that you return with its wool. Fred the Gemara, shor. If you're going to return the hair on the tail, certainly you're going to return the wool, which is much more incomprehensibly expensive. So why would I need set to tell me you're going to return the gaze, the gaze, right? That you're going to return the wool? Of course, you're going to return the cheap ox tail hair. Certainly you're going to return sheep wool. Says the Gemara, Ela Amar Rava, says Rava, you're right. Chamor debar le Rabbi Yehuda, the said the Aveda le Divrei Akol Kasha. Guys, we did Masech the Baba Kama, right? Shor v'loy Adam, Chamor v'loy Kalim. Good, guys. Remember, Shor v'loy Adam, Kiyiftach Ishar bar, right? Kiyich Ish bar, the Nafal Shama Shor Chamor, Shor v'loy Adam, Chamor v'loy Kalim. According to Rabbi Yehuda, that Yechayiv on Niskei Kalim Bebar, why does it come to teach me? Right? What does Chamor come to teach me? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know the sex. Excuse me. We don't know the Chamor by bar. The Se by Aveda, we had Simla, we know what it taught us. We have Shor knows what it taught us. Chamor, we know what it taught us, right? Mm-hmm. Simla taught us what? Simonim and Toivim. Chamor told us that it doesn't have to be in the animal itself. The Shor told us that Gesizus is Navai for its tail here. We don't know what set teaches me. It remains a kasha. It remains a kasha. So says now, I'm going to get to the 2 dots and I'm going to come back and do a Meshach Chachma on this. Okay, guys? So it says the Gemara. The Ema Leglolim Hudasa maybe comes to teach me that the Glolim, the dung of the animal, also you would be required to that's what Seh comes to teach me. It says, you don't need a pasuk to tell me that you get that. That is hefker, the person's mafkarid, and therefore you don't have to return it. Maybe Seh comes to teach me simonim. The boilon, we're going to ask a shaila in a second. Simonim deraisa or derabanon. Simonim are deraisa or derabanon. Kasser Rachmana said that fila b'simonim hadrinon. Right? Simonim deraisa. Says the Gemara. Maybe so says come to teach me a very, very important thing. That you won't need Adim to return something, that you'd even return something because of Simonim. So Amri Midiktani Luhutana, the Simonim Gabe Simla, since we mentioned by Simla the word Simonim, Diktani Mas Simlim Yucheda Sheish Ba Simonim, V'yesh La Toivim, Chayiv Lahakris, Avkol Davish Sheish Ba Simonim, V'yesh La Toivim, Chayiv Lahakris, Shmamina Deseh, Lav the Simonim Budasa. Okay, guys, let's go outside. You just told me the following. You don't know what says teaching me. You don't know. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you what says teaching me. We're going to have a shiloh in a second. A simanim deraisa derabanan. Nafkamina, we're going to see to return a get or to go ahead and use a simon to say a guy's dead and his wife can be married. Good. That's what we're going to say. Tremendous chiddush. Maybe Seh is coming to teach me that in fact simanim are deraisa. Says the Gemara, you can't do that. Why? Because it says by simla two things: simanim and toivim. That says has simanim and Seh has toivim. So when he says by simla that it teaches me simanim, certainly Seh can't be teaching me simanim. Good. And that answers your question. Now you can ask another question. So why does the Gemara have a shaila whether simanim are deraisa or not? L'chayr is simla is telling me that what the simanim. So we're going to ask the kasha on the Yomi base, and we're going to say that the main chiddush is yush, that it has toivim, and simanim kidin aspa is bought by a wayside, but not necessarily is it an ikalimud. Okay, so now comes out lemaskana that seh comes out lemaskana that seh we don't have, it's a kasha. Now we know a rule in Shas. When it says tiyufta, an upshlag on a person, that person's out. There's no answering that person. Tiyufta, the person is out. Kasha, we say mishtatnus from a kasha, you can go seek a teretz. Okay? So now the Meshech Chochmah went to the seek a teretz. Now I sent it out, see if you got it. I don't know what to do, Rabbi Avi. It's crazy. I have to Oh, you sent him? You know what, guys? I want you to, we're going to make one chat now. We're going to have one chat. We're going to redo it and make one chat, and we won't have any problems, okay? There shouldn't be any two chats. Except for Yankel Zucker, you'll remain on. Yank is going. No, okay, we're going to make one universal chat so we won't have any problems, okay?
Does it have an age restriction?
No, stop it. Well,
See,
yeah.
I've already supper.
I'll be on the other.
The other chat.
You're getting demoted.
I think we need a cooking chat for Avrami all by himself.
I don't.
Only a child chat.
This is going to be tough for you to see. Now, this I did not do it works for the computer. It's not going to work for the guys. I really, I don't know what I did over there. What?
Did Rami not help you
I must have done this by the Purim Suda, huh?
I think if we all take a drink, it'll straighten itself out.
Okay, anyway.
Don't say that.
Okay, guys. Yeah, guys, watch. Guys, in the beginning of Parshas Re'eh, it says, Eila hachukim hamishpatim asher ba'aretz. That's in Eretz Yisrael. So the Meshech Chochmah is learning that the dinim, Eila hachukim, is going on Mishnah Torah. So the din of Hashavas Aveda was stated where? In Eretz Yisrael. No, it doesn't mean it's not every place, but it's stated mainly in Eretz Yisrael. It's stated mainly in Eretz Yisrael because that's what the pasuk says. Now you learned all this, guys, so you really have a geschmack in it. Uva Gemara Baba Kama Daf Nun Dalid, Chamor Debar Rabbi Yehuda, and said the Aveda L'Divya Kol Kasha. V'nira says the Ramei Simcha the Kamash Malon the Af Im Megadol Behemoth Daka beEretz Yisrael. Even if you go ahead and raise a behemoth daka in Eretz Yisrael, Shekol Parshias Koi, all the parshas are going on. Alho the Oma beParshas Re'eh, Ela Chukim Mishpatim ba'Oretz Asher Nasan. Shezeh Asa, it's Asa. Guys, one of the things we said in Eretz, you can't go ahead and raise the behemoth daka in Eretz Yisrael. At Sha'amru, right? Roy behemoth daka loy maridim v'loy mylin. That roy behemoth daka, you don't put them in a pit, but if they go in a pit, you don't take them out of the pit. Let them die. Shepakru b'gezel. Lashon Rambam Havi. Hava Mina, I would have thought the following. I'm in the second column. The Eina mitzvah leheshiv avidasai. I would say it's no mitzvah to return his aveda. Guys, guy learns, he loses say. You're not supposed to have a say in Eretz Yisrael. It's not supposed to be in Eretz Yisrael. You're not supposed to be Megadol. So you know what you would have thought? It's keep it. I would say it's not going to show us Aveda. Kamash Malon Kra, the mitzvah lahashiv Aveda the seh. Says the Simcha. That's why it says seh. To tell you, guess what? No, there's still a mitzvah to return it. Because you would have thought there is no mitzvah to return it. Why? Because he shouldn't have been Megadol in the first place. That's why Ramei Simcha was Ramei Simcha. You had to be Ramei Simcha to say it, and that's why Ramei Simcha was Ramei Simcha. Unbelievable. Unbelievable Meshech Chochmah. Amazing. So it's the Meshech Chochmah is on this pasuk on the Chaf Beis. Okay, Geschmack.
Yeah.
Huh? Tan Rabbanan. Tana Rabbana. Asher toivad, the pasuk says, Asher tovad mimenu. Asher toivad, we're going to dash in the whole pasuk, right? Pratla aveda, shein b'shava pruta. If an aveda is lost, it doesn't have a shava pruta, there's no mitzvah you return it. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, umatsasa, pratla aveda, shein b'shava pruta. So they're learning out the same din, but from different words. Now look at this Rashi, guys, Geshmak. Asher tovad, shetei kruya aveda. In order to be called an aveda, it has to have a shava pruta. Umatsasa, shikruya mitzia. In order to be called a mitzia, it has to have a shava pruta. One is going on aveda, the one who loses it. The other one is going on mitzia, the one who finds it, guys. Yeah, it's important. One is going on the one who loses it, and the other one is going on the one who finds it. My binayu. What's the difference between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda? Amar Abaya, mashmoy starshim k'minah. There's no nafkamina in halacha. There simply is the mashmoy. What appeared to them to be the correct way to darshan it. One dashin from Asher Tova and one dashin from Mitzasa. Mar nafkalei mi Asher Tovad. One dashin from Asher Tova Tanakama. Umar Rabbi Yehuda nafkalei mi Mitzasa. For the Gemara, ulamad nafkalei mi Asher Tovad. Hayim Mitzasa mayavidlei. The one who learns out that it has to be worth a shava pruta from the word Tovad. Why does he learn from Umatzasa? Omi boy late lechid Ravnoi or Ravina dom Ravnoi Umatzasa the asli yada mashma. It's a mashma that comes to mashma that came to your hand. Now, guys, it says chol avedus achicha. Now, you might think that the din of a shavas aveda. What does it mean? That if you see an aveda of a guy, you don't have to pick it up. But if you would pick it up, you would think you'd have to return it. Kemash malon umatzasa, that even when it's in your hands, you don't have to return it. Even when it's in your hands. Don't think that the mitzvah of achicha is only leisuchelis alein. But if you pick it up, it would even apply to a guy. It says the mitzvah is mashma, that the asili yade mashma. Well, the nafklei mitzvah haya shetoivad mayav. What does Rabbi Yehuda do with the Tanakama shetoivad? We boil it. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan, mishum b'shum b'yachai. Minayin la aveda sheshat v'nahar. How do you know aveda that the nahar overran it? Shimu teres. We said, right, even though the guy is b'miyayish, should not be miyayish, she's screaming, right? Suta shal yom. Shenema kein kasel chol avedas achicha. Asher tovad mimenu. Asher tovad mimenu umatzasa. Misha avuda himenu. It's lost from him. What's an aveda? Something that's lost from him. Umitsuya etzel kolodam, and it's found by others. Yatzazu, it would exclude this. Sha'avuda himenu ve'ena mitsuya etzel kolodam. It's universally lost, right? That's why I learned asher tovad. Asher tova means that that it has to be found by somebody. But if it can't be found by anybody because the sea took it out, then it's not a mitzvah that we say that the parasha of Hashavas Aveda. The idach, and the one who uses Asher Tova to teach me Shava Pruta, Had the Rav Noi Minale. How does you know Rav Noi's din of what? Of that it's mashma when it comes to the hands, even then there's no mitzvah to return to a guy. Nafkalei mivim mitzvah, the above. The idach, Had Rav Yochanan Minale. Here is no Rav Yochanan's din of Zuta Shal Yam. Nafkalei mi menu from him. The idach, and the other one mi menu loy mashmalei. Okay, so that's the nafkamina according to what? According to Abai. Mashmas adarshim ikibinayu. There's no nafkamina in halacha. So Tanakama learns out Asher Tova b'menu has to be a shava pruta, and Rabbi Yehuda learns out from the word umatzasa. Rav is going to give another nafkamina. Rav Omar pruta shehuzla ikibinayu. Now let's guys keep in mind the Rashi that I showed you, right? Learns from the word aveda, and the other one learns from the word what? Metzia. One learns from the aveda, and the other one's learning from the word mitzia. So one's an aveda and one's a mitzia. So keep that in mind. So it says Rav, and nafkamina is when it went down in price. So when it was lost, there was a shava pruta, but when you found it, it wasn't. Guys, when it's lost, there was a shava pruta. When you found it, it was not. Since at the time you lost it, it was a shava pruta. We're going on the aveda part. There'd be a mitzvah to return it. Because since the time you picked it up, right? So guys, since the time you picked it up, it's not a shava pruta anymore. So therefore, you would not have to return it. In other words, what do you go after? You go b'shas aveda or b'shas mitzia. It depends where you learn it out from. And then afkamina, a lam d'shel afkamina would be if it goes down in price. Since at the time I lost it, it was a shava pruta. If you go after aveda, you'd have to return it. According to Rabbi Yehuda, who goes after from umatzasa, you would not have to return it. You know, I don't understand that. Good. It's an aveda, but it's also mitzia. So if something is not worth the shava pruta anymore, it's not mammon. If it's not mammon, there's no reason to return it. In other words, once something loses its metzias of money and never regains it, it's not money. It's not money. So therefore it's not. So even if it was worth it, and you have a lomda shapasas to tell me you should return it, the bottom line is it's not a metzia. It's not. But so in other words, you need a matzasa. Ella, what's the nafkamina between them? Shehukra ikaminayu. It went up in price. So when it was lost, it was not a shava pruta, and then was found, it was a shava pruta. Mandi amang matzasa ikka, the one who says you go after the time you find it, right? It's worth a shava pruta. Mandi amasha tayvad leka. Same kasha. Mandi amang matzasa habein asher tayvad. The opposite way. The one who says that matzasa wouldn't he need asher tayvad v'leka, and of course it wasn't a shava pruta when he lost it. Ella, what's the answer, guys? The nafkamina according to Rava, shehukra v'huzla v'chazar v'hukra. Okay, so here's the nafkamina. When you lost it, it was what? It was worth a pruta, and then it went down, and then it went up again. So you have a veda and you have mitzia. Good. Now, ikibinayu manda asher toivad ikka. The one who says asher toivad. So you have both things, guys. When it was lost, it was shava pruta. When it was found, it was shava pruta. Umandam matzasa, and the one who says umatzasa, the extra vav, the Riffa learns it from this vav, right? Umatzasa be'inan the ispa shir mitzia, you need it to be a shava pruta, mishas aveda v'shas mitzia. So since at one point in time is worth less than a shava pruta, you would not have to return it from the one who learns it from mitzia. So a long Riffa how to learn it now, he learns it from the extra vav. So again, so we have, guys, let's go. We have two, ashetovad mimenu matzasa, Tanakama, Shava Pruta. Mutzasa, Rabbi Yehuda, Shava Pruta. Nafkamina, says Abaya, none. Rava, Nafkamina, Shava Pruta, less than a Shava Pruta, Shava Pruta. Later, Ashatoivad, you would go ahead and return it. Amitzasa, you would not return it. Okay, now, we have a following Shaila. This is you lose something, right? Guys, you lose something. You want it back. You're going to give a simon. So since you're a kid, you know there's such a thing as giving a simon. How do you know you return it with a simon? How do you know? Now, there's a big difference between dine mominus and eishesish. This shaila of whether simonim are deraisa derabanan, guys, does not play out in the Choshen Mishpat. Why? So there was a Tosfos that I didn't do with you. I did it with you. There's a Tosfos on the Yivtes on the Aleph at the top. The Chachamim use the din of Hefker, Bezdin, Hefker. In other words, they have the ability to mafki your money. So they can say, you lost something, right? The other guy found it. I'll be mafkir from that person who found it, and I'll return it to you with Simonim. So it's not, the mechanics to return something like the Chachamim in Dinei Mominus is not a Chiddush. The Chiddush, guys, is in Dinei Issa Veheta. When it comes to Matar and Eishesish, a guy goes ahead, he lost the get. We had this come earlier, you test. Guy lost the get. And he said, what? I have a hole in the side of the get. We said, don't return it. If he said there's a hole next to a certain letter, we're going to return it. Because even if you hold simonim or the rabbanon, a simin mufik, guys, is the raisa. A simin mufik, an outstanding simin, is the raisa. That we saw that Gemara. That you had a get on Daf Yomi. The guy lost the get. A shliach halacha lost the get. He gave a simin. He said, and on this word on the second line, there's a hole next to the aleph. That clearly is his get. And that everyone holds, everyone, even Simonim Darabanan, you return it. So this Gemara, the sugi we're about to do now, even though it's in Masechta Bab Metzia, it really is in Yavamis. So it's really, or Gittin. It's really Yavamistic Shaila and Gittin Shaila. In Gittin, whether regarding Eishesish, in Yavamis, fellas, we know that when it comes to Edis Isha, when it comes to Aguna, we want to make sure that what? We will be very, very makel when it comes to what? Who's believed to say a guy died in order to mata. But can you go ahead and mata based upon simonim, or will you need edim? Here, that's not Gemina. Would you need edim or simonim, or at least a simon muvik?
The body.
Right, that the guy's dead. Yes, simon. It could be a simon in the body. It could be a simon maybe in clothing, but maybe not. We're going to see that. When I looked at the sugya, until I saw that Tosfos, that Tosfos just like let's just look at the Tosfos for a second. It's very easy. You test it. Yeah. Again, but again, you can make it to a point. We don't just we saw in Yavamis, the guy dies in the Pacific Ocean. He's dead. she can't remarry because the end of the site. It's not you're not making relationships quickly. But if you look at your test, guys, look at the Taisus on your test. So they returned this get. So the Gemara to Shaila, I don't know if they returned it. Why? Because he said Summer Rabbanon or because there was a simon. The get nami madrinon. The simanon de Rabbanon, Mashem Machzirin Aveda b'simin, She'enan Movik, mid Rabbanon, Mishum de Hefker, Bez and Hefker. If it's not a simon Movik, it's just a simon. So therefore, we're using the mechanism of Bezdin being able to be mafkering and allowing someone else to get it. Avol mid Raisa Tzarech Oy Eidim Oy Simin Movik. The get nami the Isahu Loy Madrinon El b'simin Movik. A get that's Issa, right? You're not going to only a simon Movik. If simanon de Rabbanon, you're not going to return.
It's a tough little line because you have ein davar shavar with top of your time. It's in Aiden as opposed to sin, but then you want to be makel because of the gunas. It's a tough. It's a
Again, but again, if you need eight, you just can't be makel just because a guna. We bend the rules a little bit, but to what extent?
Right.
To what extent? In other words, we'll believe Eidas Isha to say she saw the guy go into the gas chamber. You know
Right.
that, but even though the women are not believed in other things, that we will believe in eight echad. You know, even though, but the bottom line is, if simanim adirabanan, it's not going to work. So that's really an nafkamina. So iboilu simanim deraisa dirabanan, and the nafkamina would be regarding really my nafkamina on the base. My nafkamina le'adure get isha b'simanim, to go ahead and return a get isha with simanim. That would be the nafkamina, that the shliach who's bringing it lost it, and now he says it's mine. If you say it's the raisa simanim madrinan, we can return it. V'amit rabbanon ki of rabbanon takanta. When the rabbanon made the takana of simanim, that's b'mamayna. That's when it comes to mammon. Says Rashi, guys, b'mamayna. Second line down, the hefker bezdin hefker, right? It's hefker bezdin hefker is a huge tool, right? Hefker bezdin hefker, right? That's why. That's by mammon. Back in the Gemara, I will be surah loy of rabbanon takanta. By the issa, the rabbanon did not make a takana. Okay, so that's the nafkamina in the shaila. Simanim their raisa, you're going to go ahead and return a get, and as we're going to see, allow a woman to remarry based upon testimony of a simon. And if simanim are derabanan, it would not help for what? For a get. It would not help what? For, again, this is not a simon muvik, guys, would help. A simon muvik, according to everybody, would help. Simon muvik is the raisa. Tashma. The Mishnah said, Afa simla hoysa b'chal kalelu. V'loma yatzis, lahakash alel v'loy melacha, masimli mucheda sheyesh l'simonim, v'yesh l'toivim, chayiv l'hachriz, av kol dava sheyesh l'simonim, everything that has a simin, v'yesh l'toivim, chayiv l'hachriz. So l'chayra, guys, what do you see? Simonim adaraisa. Similar. The word similar is telling me there's such a thing as a simin. So what did I tell you on the Amid Aleph? Tana, toivim mitzrichalei. The main thing is that what? For something to be an Aveda, it has to have toivim, it can't be hefker, it has to have an owner. The simanim kedinaspa, but the simanim are brought in agav, but not necessary to say that it's the main point that it's from deraisa. So you have no raya from the Mishnah. The key main point there is not simanim by simla. The main point by simla is toivim. Toshma chamor b'simanim oikif chamor b'simanim oikif. You're going to return a chamor b'simanim. Look at interesting Tosfos, guys. Yeah. You can make a landing on Tosfos, guys. Mm-hmm. You know, in the yeshiva, you wanted Rabbi to call you on this top Tosfos. Toshma. Chamor b'siman ha'maikif, braisahi. That's what Tosfos is telling you. Because again, what raya do you have? If you don't have a tanoic raya, if you notice if it's an Amoira saying, what's the raya? Yeah, he never called me for this Tosfos, Yankel.
I know Tosfos about that.
Yeah. You know that joke on Ayin Zion. So Ayin Zion had that Gemara on Baba Kama, that one line. Those guys, I know it Balpeh. The guy said, "Yeah, now I'm testing on Tosfos." Anyway, so says the Gemara. So it's a tanoic source. Chamar b'siman ha'maikif, and for the Gemara, don't say siman ha'maikif. Ema be'edei aikif. Say that you have edim on the saddle, not siman, but edim on the saddle. You have no raya. Tashma. The pasuk says, "Vayimcha," and the Metzia will be with you. Until your brother seeks it. Says the Gemara facetiously. Did you have a mina that you're going to give it before he seeks you? You don't even know who he is. Obviously, Obviously, you're going to give it to him after he seeks you. You don't know who he is. So that's not what that's not what it means. Ella, what does it mean? It means Darsheu Imramayhu. Go ahead and check him out. You know what Darish means? Until you check him out to make sure he's not a liar. Not that he's going to find you, but then Darish, check him out and see if he's lying or not. Or Einaramai. My love, you're going to check him out b'simonim. So you see simonim adaraisa, because you're dashing the words adarish achicha, which is in the Torah proper. Loi be'edim, no raya. Maybe Darish would aid him, whether it's his or not. So therefore, you have no raya to that shaila with the simonim adaraisa the rabbanon. We don't have an answer to that question. Hashma. Now this is, guys, the Mishnah. This is regarding a dead person, and you're going to have testimony and allow the woman to remarry based upon this testimony. This is in the sugya in Kuf Chaf and Masech the Yavamis, and the Yavamis in the sugya of Agunas. Okay, now what can you testify? Ein me'idim, you can't testify. El al pirtzif aponim imachaitim. You have to see the head, the forehead, the eyes, with the nostrils. You don't have to see the mouth, but you have to see the forehead, the eyes, and the nostrils. Now, even though you have simanim in his clothing, he's wearing a suit that you know he's worn before. Uvikelav or kalim or borrowed objects. He's wearing a backpack or something, a briefcase, right? Even if you have simanim and that they belong to him, you will not go ahead and allow it to remarry. So it's a raya the opposite direction. That what simanim are the rabbanon. Shmamino simanim lav deraisa, right? Right? Shmamina guys, simanim alav deraisa. Why? Because it's the Mishnah is only allowing you to marry based upon edus, but simanim will not allow you to remarry. So therefore, l'chari, you can bring a raya from the Mishnah in Yevamis and Kufchaf that simanim are not deraisa. Now the Gemara disagrees. It could be simanim are deraisa. The simanim that they're speaking about there are shvacha simanim. Like for example, Amri ufay da arach. It was a long body. The guts, or was a short body. So that's a very shvacha ma'isa, because there are, obviously. So therefore, you need something more substantial than that. So in other words, can Zayin a good simin deraisa, you would allow it to remarry. But this is what? A shvacha simin. It's a bad simin. Kalev. What do you mean kalev? Based upon the simanim in the kalim. Why not? The chashin l'sheila. Maybe it's borrowed. So what raya do you have that it's that person? Because based upon clothing, maybe he borrowed it, and it really is you're basing it on that clothing. The clothing really belonged to somebody else, and he's really still alive. It says Gemara, if you chayish for she'ela, chamar b'simonim oikef heichi madrinon. So he said, how could you ever return a chamar based upon the oikef? Maybe the saddle was borrowed. Amri oikef leishula inchi, right? An oikef heichi madrinon. Let me. They then go ahead, they don't lend it. It seems that donkeys are very, how should we say, little finicky. And they have their own saddles. It's like putting out somebody's shoes on, right? What? Yeah, it doesn't work, huh? Doesn't work. You got to wear your own. It doesn't work. You used to, but no, it says masculine means it gets scratched. So a person is not going to lend out because it's going to scratch. It's going to get scratched. So therefore, you could be assured if it's the saddle, it's the donkey saddle. It's a custom-made saddle for the donkey. Okay. Or Ibai same in other teretz. Caleb, not worried about him being borrowed, but Caleb just like he gave a shvacha in the body itself, saying long or short. Maybe he said the clothing was white or it was red. Right, but he's not giving really a substantial siman. But really, simanim are deraisa, and really you would let her remarry. But the simanim they're talking about over here are shvach, and therefore you needed to aid him on the pirtz of panim. Ella hadetanya matzah kasha bekis. If you find a get, and this is a decision, right? It's the same thing. Simanim by get, simanim by remarrying a woman. By eshes matzah kasha bekis. The guy's bringing a get. And he loses it, and he said, I found it tied to a wallet, like some type of, or ba'arniki, against some type of wallet, ubetabas, or ring, a shematsu ben kalov, or it's found among his garments, afil is mamaruba, even a long period of time, kasha. If you chayish for being borrowing something, himatsu kasha bekis, my kasha nechus she'ela, right? Let's say a guy borrowed someone's wallet. Amri kiss for arnaki v'tabashle mashle inshi. People don't. These are things that people don't lend out. You don't lend. You don't give your bichacham not to lend out your credit card, right? Kiss for arnaki v'tabashle mashle inshi. Kiss for arnaki mishum the misamne. Rashi seems to say that it's bad mazel. Look at Rashi, guys. It says Rashi, very fascinating. The misamne menachshe. They're menachesh. V'oimer, they're superstitious. V'oimer simin la'odam shemashal kisai shemoichle mazel. It's a simin to a person. If you give someone your wallet, you're selling your mazel. Right? I'll tell you something interesting. There's a din by a knife. You're not supposed to give a knife as a present. You're not supposed to give a knife as a present. That is something about giving away your mazel by giving a knife as a present. Like somebody gave me a knife once, and my wife took it, and she covered it up, and she put it in the street, and she said it's hefker. She said it's hefker. It was really a nice knife. Anyway, but there's such a thing. Even bisman hazeh, there's such a thing of. Okay, I know that the blogger is going nuts with this. There's the knife, the knife giving away the mazel. In the superstition over here, it seems that this Indian of Tosfos says interesting. Kiss varniki mishun the misamne from toimar b'ksiv leisanachshu. You're not supposed to believe in superstition, right? So what's the v'yishleimar b'shalhish v'maisha? I mean, in kol davar sheish by mishum refuah ain't b'mishum darkei emoiri. You said a fox tooth. Ever tell you a story of the fox tooth, guys? I never tell you a story. My son sent me I get in the mail a thing, and in it there's something that looks like a tooth, and it says sleep well, and it says ayin Shabbos daf samech zayin. I looked it up. It says it's good for sleeping, and the must say Murray asked I start and Murray goes from Refuah. So hastis, it really must be that this thing about giving away your wallet or the knife in this case is not superstition. It must be something that really has a makar. It's not stamasa. It really has a makar. So it's a fascinating subject in the daf, and it's going to make it to a blog. Anyway, says the Gemara Vaita. The obscure. So therefore, a person is not going to lend these things. So really, you're not chayish over here. Mishum nimsani tabas mishum nimizayif. They used to have signet rings, fellas, right? So you know what? You lend somebody your keys to your car, and next thing you know, 2 days later, your car is stolen, right? What happened? They went to the dealer, and then they copied it. So you're worried over here. You're going to get your signet ring. He's going to make a copy of it, and you're going to worry about counterfeiting. The Gemara suggests let's suggest that it's machloikas tanoim whether simanim are deraisa derabanan. Again, going back to Masechta Yevamis in the sugya of aguna. Ein me'idim ala ashuma. Ashuma is a mole, some type of mole, a beauty mark. You can't be made on that. The Elazar ben Mahavi oimem me'idin ala ashuma. That would be. Because what's the machlokes? Tanakama says no. Elazar ben Mahavi says yes. My lab b'hakamifli. This is what they're arguing again. The Tanakama sava siman and derabanan, and therefore you can't testify on a shuma to say the person that's that particular individual and allow his wife to remarry. The Elazar ben Mahavi savar simanim deraisa. So of the opinion that simanim are deraisa, and therefore what? And therefore you would allow to remarry. So let's suggest that's the svaras of machlokes between the two. Amar Rava no. The Kuliyalma simanim deraisa. Everyone holds simanim are deraisa. Whether a suma can be found, a ben gili is someone's born under the same astrological sign as you, the same day, the same mazel, they have the same mazel. So masav a shuma mitsuya ben gili. So just because you have the shuma, your ben gili also does. So therefore, testifying on it will not be acceptable. Well, masav and mahavai shuma and mitsuya ben gili, and therefore it will be a siman muvik, and you will be able to go ahead and testify on that. Iba is saying that the kuliyalma shuma ain't a mitsuya ben gili. Everyone else shuma is not mitzvah ben gili. So what's as far as machlokes? Machlokes is about simonim that will change after misa. Now, this when the person was alive, it was black. When they die, maybe it turns green, or maybe it turns yellow. Who knows? Masav simonim asuy the shtana shlachem misa. Tanakama says it can change after misa. Therefore, you can't be samech upon it. Umasava and Rav Losam and Mahabe simanim ein asun l'shtanas lachem misa. Right. Iboy seima, again, enough to with him. The Kuli Alma, Shuma ein asuya l'shtanas lachem misa v'simanim derabanan. V'hacha b'shuma simin muvaku kamifli. Is shuma simin muvak or not? Masava shuma simin muvaku. Umasava shuma lav simin muvaku. Amarava im tim tzleim b'simanim lav deraisa. Heichi madrina b'dasa b'simanim. If you're going to tell me simanim is not deraisa, now. The Gemara is asking the following. We know what the din works of hefker best and hefker, but why did they do it? Right? Why did they do it? Why did the Chachamim choose to go ahead and apply the hefker best and hefker to a Metzia, an aveda of what of mummy? Now, why? Says the Gemara, the nichalei lemoitza aveda. It's good for the moitza aveda, the guy who finds it, the nahade b'simanim, to return it with simanim. In other words, I find something. I'm happy to return it. Why? Because when I lose something, Nami, Nahajule b'simanim, they'll return it to me. So I'm being such a benevolent guy with somebody else's money, right? I'm benevolent with your money. I found something, it's yours, so I'm going to return it because I want mine returned. You're doing a toiva for yourself. What's my toiva? I'm making totally in me. I'm going to return it, so then I'm doing a toiva with somebody else's money to do a toiva for me. That does make sense. It's the same svara, but not totally in the mitzvah, but totally in the person who loses it. It's good for the bal aveda, the guy who loses it, not the guy who finds it. The guy who loses it, lemahave simone, to give simanim, ulemishakle, and to take it. Why? Made the yoda the edim lesle. He knows he doesn't have edim. Umeima amay says to himself, listen, Chuli ama lo yoda simanim mufhakim dida. No one does my simanim. I know you have no simanim mufhakim dida b'shaklina la. Right. So I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and give it. Okay, Elaha did not. Reb Shimon, I think gets involved over here. Okay, let's stop over here. Gets involved.
Okay. It's beneficial for the